This is my stamina warden, tank, healer, and DPS. Play it how you want it kind of character. What you can do with this, I built it in a way that you can actually do any kind of content you want and stay within the same armor, the same weapons. You can change out your weapons too if you want. So if you want to use a bow, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to use a two-hander, you can do that. You can use any weapon excluding the magic stuff. So this is going to be completely stamina things. So what I did with this character is I tried to balance out a lot of things. So I'm just going to be running through a lot of stuff. So this might be a long video, but I'm going to start off with my actual stats. I pumped everything into stamina, and the reason why I did that was I wanted to keep the damage up and also let the healing be the highest it can be too. And having more stamina means more healing. So definitely that was the way to go with this. When you're talking about tanking dungeons, you can still do it with this. You only have 24k hit points, so I'm just telling you that right now. It's probably pretty low, but you can get by if you're actually dealing with the mechanics of blocking, like actually not just standing in red circles all the time. I mean, you can every once in a while, but you don't want to make a habit of just standing in red circles and then, oh shit, you died. Like you want to actually work mechanics with this character. But if you did want to play one of those tanky kind of characters, let's say if you want to run it through a trial or something, what you can do is flip this around, get rid of all the stamina, throw it into health, and there you go. Get at least 30k hit points or more. You can actually bump that up to about 33,000 hit points if you pump everything into health. So that will give you the health points you need to be able to handle like trials and things like that. But as far as everything else, I leave it in stamina because most of my gameplay is always either DPSing, healing, or just doing some minor tanking here and there. Like I don't do serious tanking all the time. So that's the main thing about this character. You can do everything overworld. You can fucking kill any world boss you want by yourself. Like it handles pretty much everything. And I'm just gonna run you through some of the stuff I got going on. My actual weapon crit is kind of low on this. It's at 33,000. If I swap over to dual wielding, which is what I'm usually running most of the time, it goes up a little bit, 36,000. It's doable. I still crit a lot, so it's still worth it. It does a good job. What I'm running right now is actually to increase my crit. That's what I'm using as my boon. So I have that running because otherwise that would be at 26%, which would be actually really terrible. So definitely need to put that boon on. I'm running this food here for stamina recovery and max health, max stamina. This one, I prefer having recovery because otherwise you're going to be out of stamina all the time. I mean, you can put the other food, the actual food ones, that will increase, your hit points a lot more. You'll probably get about 27,000. But the thing is that you will run out of stamina. And personally, I hate running out of stamina. And I don't want to do that many heavy attacks. So I prefer it this way simply because I just want to fight and not give a shit. But you can play how you want. So if you want food, you can go for it. I'm also a werewolf, so I got that running. But let me show you my actual stats as far as my resistance. This is something I wanted to keep as high as possible. Like if I go over to Sword and Shield, which Sword and Shield gives you a hell of a lot more resistance. Especially since if you look at the buff I'm running the Ice Fortress. That's giving me the resistance. If I pop that, and you look at my resistance now, I got that up to 30,000. So that's getting really close to cap. So cap is around 34,000 or 35, something like that. So you're actually negating a hell of a lot of damage. That's why I left my hit points at 24,000 because I don't really take that much damage all the time. I mean, there are those abilities that these bosses do that one-shot you, that hit you for like 90,000. Those are things you can't avoid. So in order to avoid those things, you have to jump out of those red circles or just block. Simply, that's all you have to do is just block, and you won't get hit for 90,000. So that's why I kind of built this character this way because I got sick of this whole mold of you need fucking 60,000 hit points to tank, and that's not real. That's not something that every single tank can do. And the pretty much the only character that can really truly do that easily is a DK. and that's it. I mean, Warden, my highest was 40,000. So there's no higher than that, honestly. Not unless you're gonna sacrifice all your damage. But let me run you through some of the champion points I got going on. Oh wait, I'm rushing too fast. We're talking about gear now. All right, so we're going to gear. What I got running is 5 pieces of leeching set. This was a hell of a time to freaking farm. It took me a long time to farm this. That's why I have kind of my little bonuses are kind of scattered around. I wanted more divine, but it looks like the chances of me getting more divine is kind of difficult. So like this belt, for example, took me 2 weeks to farm out. It took me a long ass time. I gave up. Once I got that belt, I just ran the hell out of Imperial Prison and I never looked back. Like I just never wanted to go back again. But that's pretty much the hardest part about this character is getting the gear. Leeching set takes a hell of a lot of time to farm. This one too, I have Maribeth, the Scourges. This one is awesome. This set makes it so that every time they hit you, they heal you back. So it basically creates a beam that just sucks the life out of them. So it does damage to them, and at the same time, it's giving you health. And then once it's over, it gives you a 30% increase to your healing received, which is insane. So after this thing is over, like you're just healing like a madman. So the thing is awesome. The other set, so the leeching is giving you healing also. So this is a damage over time thing that's placed on the ground. It's damaging the mobs, and it's also healing you for the damage that's done. So this is a sick set that can't go by itself. So what I also added was Bahraha's Curse set. So the Bahraha's Curse set, for right now, I gotta let you know, on the auction house, they are going for drug dealer prices. You're not gonna find it cheap. And if you do find it cheap, it's probably because it's the light armor version, which is Magicka. Because as you can see, I have the rings and the necklaces with healthy on it. And this is something that I see is just vanishing from the auction house. There's no more anymore. I tried getting it in purple, and there is none in existence. So I tried running around this zone I'm in now, which is the Thieves Guild zone, and nothing ever drops. And every time something does drop, it's always a light armor piece. So it's fucking terrible, the drop rates on these things. So don't try to farm it yourself. If you have friends that have these sets, then get them, or try to get as much money as you can and get on the auction house and buy these things. But the main things I got for these sets, I got the rings and the necklace. I put stamina recovery on each of them. And then I'm running my weapons, always Bahraha's Curse. So I got dual wielding Bahraha's Curse, so that gives me the 5-point bonus right there. And then also my sword and shield is Bahraha's Curse. So that's what gets me the 5-piece of that and 5-piece of leeching, and then also you're getting your monster set. So all this stuff together creates some insane amount of healing that you get from just taking damage. And let me just show you a little bit of what that's like. Let's just run into some mobs. Now look, just look at this. I'm just gonna stand right here and let them do their thing. They're gonna get hurt. Look, they're taking massive damage. I'm not taking any damage at all. And I haven't even popped my buffs or anything. I haven't popped no heals. I'm just letting them kill themselves. Just look at this. Look at this. It's so amazing. I love this set so much. Like all 3 of these things together just make you like a god pretty much. And but this is not gonna save you from getting burst down. That's the only thing that's the biggest problem with probably any character is getting burst the fuck down. And that's why in veteran dungeons you have to be real careful with your blocking and you're running out of red circles because you can die like that. But let me show you the champion points, because this is where most of my damage and my resistance and all that stuff comes from. So let me show you a little bit more. Let me go invisible so no mobs see me. So starting with the damage line here, I got Trauma Surge. I actually just put points into this because I noticed that everything I do is damage over time, including my bleeding. So I put the 20% into this, and it's dramatic, the damage that it does now. Like, it's over the top now. So pretty much I could just stand in mobs like that and not even give a shit. I can go get some food and come back and the mobs will be dead. You know, like you can do things like that. It's just so awesome with these sets. And then also my bleeding damage is insane, all thanks to this power right here. So this champion point is definitely worth it, getting it to 20%. I got precise strikes. I got that to 10%. I normally do this to 20%, but in this case I'm using the Fighters Guild trap that gives you 10% more critical strike damage. So I'm basically getting my 20% right there from that power and this champion points. So that's where I left it like that. I'm trying to get this up to 10% so I can do some more damage with that. And then let's see what else I got. Master at Arms. This is a must. Leave that to 20%. Anything lower than that, you're going to notice your damage is lower. Especially when it comes to like using your beetle attack, which is one of your major damaging attacks, is that. And you'll notice that you lose 2,000 damage if you don't have this slotted. So definitely put this in your build. Let's go to the other lines. Okay, so this is always the same shit. It's 43 points into this, 43 points into that. That's stamina recovery, 10%, and then doing your heavy attacks give you 10% more. So those are must. And then on this, you can kind of do whatever you want, but I chose the block. So this is reduces the cost of block by 20%. I did that because I like to block every once in a while and make sure that I don't get hit for 90,000. So this is definitely worth it to have. And then I'm also going to be putting 10% or maybe even more into roll dodge eventually once I start leveling up more champion points. But then the other lines, this is what's important right here, is the warrior lines. I got heavy armor focus. I put 4,000 points into the physical resistance, so I did that, and then we'll go over here, and then 4,000 points into this also. So this is your spell resistance. So those two together are bringing up your resistances pretty high, and then when you pop your buff, that's what gets you to 30,000 resistance, is having those two things running. And then also I want to get these up to 43 each. So this is going to be 10% to physicals, and then the 10% to magic shit. So that's eventually gonna come once I get more champion points. But for now, that's what I did. I'm just kind of sparing it out and working my way up. But now let's talk about the actual powers. So for powers on my sword and shield line, this is pretty much defense and healing. This is what I do with this. I'm running piercing armor, so that debuffs the mob and also taunts them. Very good ability. Shielded assault, I'm running this right now. You can kind of put whatever you want. I just like to have the lunge, that way I can kind of get into battle and not have to worry about, you know, kind of like running after mobs and stuff. Like that gets really annoying. So I like using this, but you can swap that out for whatever you like if you feel like you can maybe use another buff or something. But yeah, it's up to you. Ice Fortress is a must. This is giving you 8% resistance to damage. So and you're also getting that physical and the magic resistance up to that 30,000, which is the whole point of this whole the champion points. So that's definitely worth doing. Vigor is an amazing heal. Like people really do, like there's a lot of people that get this power and don't realize how good it is as a group heal. This thing is not only amazing for yourself, but it's also amazing for your team. And this is pretty much what makes me a healer, is using Vigor over and over, coupled up with Green Lotus, just kind of doing heavy attacks and light attacks. So when you're spamming your light attacks, you're healing them for 1,300 hit points, and then you hit that heal, and they're just getting so much healing over time that you're just an amazing healer at that point. So that pretty much is your main heals. I put the Soothing Spores in the build, mainly to get that kind of burst heal, and to also, like, it's also doubles as a good heal for yourself in case you take massive damage for some reason. So that is definitely a good heal. And then I'm running the healing thicket for any emergencies. This is pretty much emergency heal. And then we got on the dual wielding line, I'm running Blood Craze. This with that champion points that I put, like I can show you the Drama Surge, I think it's called. Yeah, Trauma Surge. See, this is increasing your damage over time abilities, so that includes your bleeding, that includes your armor that you're wearing, like pretty much anything that does damage over time, it's increasing that. So this is like an amazing ass attack when you have this coupled up with lightweight beast trap. So this is what is also increasing that critical damage done by that 10%. When you plop this down for 6 seconds, you're not only doing the crazy damage over time, but you're also buffing your critical damage. So that is freaking amazing. These two together is the most ultimate to like single targeting. I throw these down and then I pretty much just like heavy attack them until they die. That's pretty much the best way to kind of heal yourself, because you're using Green Lotus to heal your team and to also just kind of just evaporate the mob. You'll see they fall apart, and I'll show you a little bit what it's like. I'm using Subterranean Assault. This is your burst, and this is also an excellent debuff to spell and magic, physical resistance. So this is definitely worth it in the build, because this is an AoE debuff as well as doing crazy burst. So you got that, and then I'm using Shrouded Daggers. So what this does is it buffs your weapon damage by 20%, and then it also is an excellent AoE attack. Like, I think a lot of people underestimate this power, because every time I see a dual wielder, they're always doing the spinning thing. And the spinning thing, the problem with that is that it costs a hell of a lot of stamina to do. So you're spinning around and you don't realize you're wasting all your stamina, and then you're out of stamina. Then what do? You just die? I mean, or you're not DPSing. You're not doing anything for your team if you spin your ass off and then you ran out of stamina. So that's why I prefer this, because this bounces around to all the targets. It does a hell of a lot of damage. You're buffing your damage, and it's just a great ass attack. Like, it's range too, so it's hell of a lot more worth it than the spin attack, I feel like. And then it also makes it so that I don't have to run Betty Netch in my tray. I don't have to have any kind of other buffs in my tray. Like, I just have this, and then this is buffing my critical. So basically I'm just buffing my damage between these two powers here. So Green Lotus is already self-explanatory. It heals you every time you do light and heavy attacks, as well as your team, and it's buffing your critical chance. So this is definitely worth it in the build. And then I'm running a Werewolf, which you can kind of use whatever ultimate you want. For a while I was using the Dawnbreaker from Fighters Guild. I was using that for a bit. I just got bored of it, so I ended up going with the Werewolf, because it's a little bit more fun to run around as a Werewolf. Plus, Werewolf does so much damage. This build pretty much makes the Werewolf like almost invincible, because you're getting the Bahraha's Curse and the Leeching and all this shit going on while you're in Werewolf form. So it's devastating. This thing pretty much makes it so that you're doing crazy AoEs, you're healing yourself constantly, and you're just like wrecking face. Like, the Werewolf is the shit. I love the Werewolf. Alright, but let me show you a little bit what it's like. Let's just kind of run around and... ooh, my food came off. Let me just take my little drink, take a swig, and then kind of just watch this shit. So I'm going to buff myself, watch the lightweight trap, and then watch the burst right here. See? Pretty much that's it. That's pretty much all there is. You don't have to ever even swing your sword or anything. Like, for AoEing, I usually just use 3 and 4. So I'll just throw the thing down, and then I'll just keep throwing my sword until they die. That's pretty much what my burst is like. And then when it comes to actually just single targeting, I'll throw the trap down, slice them, and then just watch them die. Look at them. That's it. That's pretty much it. See, but if you want to burst them more, then you can always do your other attacks and stuff. So let's just kind of fight this guy, so you can kind of see what it's like. Oh, you motherfucker. You trying, you motherfucker. See that? Boom. Get out of here. So in between doing my light attacks, I like to throw the daggers, because that does really good damage. So you kind of do this, bro. Throw some of your burst down. See, and while they're bleeding, they're just they can't take it anymore. Like, that's it. Just let them bleed out and they die. So it's fucking awesome. I really love this build, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna leave some links in the description for other videos I've done with this character. I tried to solo some vet dungeons, so I put the link in that. It didn't go so well because I ended up losing on the last boss, but it was definitely a good test, so it definitely works. And also healing, I have to do some videos on that, so I'll put that in the links in the description very soon. But thanks for watching, guys, and leave a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, guys.